Well, Sunday morning show, 10 a.m.
Bright and fucking
United
early.
Yep, United's kicking off against West Ham in momentarily. And once again, they are the gift that keeps on giving with the teasing and the joking, man. They can't stop giving us material. We all know the Ballon d'Or ceremony's tomorrow night, and over the weekend, players who are going to be a part of the ceremony, because there's lots of awards that are being handed out, are leaving their clubs to go be a part of that. And cost cutting, saving Man United, asking the little club to their left or right or whatever direction it is for a ride for Garnacho and Menu.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Time out 30 seconds.
They can't afford.
You're telling me these motherfuckers got to hitch a ride?
They're bumming a ride. And we said politely, no, thank you. You can do your own shit.
Oh my fucking god. The audacity. The
It's unreal, man.
audacity.
You can't write this stuff. You
You
cannot.
can't make this shit up. Welcome to the fucking Snobby, boys. God bless. All right, everybody, welcome to the Snobby Boy Podcast. I'm your host, Colby. That's my homeboy Joe over there. He's
Good morning, everyone.
he's gonna go watch some American football today. I'm kind of jelly. I'm not gonna lie.
I am. I get to go on corporate dime to the Commanders Bears game today that got flexed to the 4:25 our time slot. So get the executive suite experience, all expenses paid. Get to walk out on the field pre-game and maybe bump shoulders with some players. Drop some info about the podcast to some of these guys. I am going to be repping some City. This hat is, it's got a little bit of that burgundy maroon in there. So we will be repping City on the sideline and in the
Let's
stadium
go.
with my Sean Taylor Commanders jersey. Well,
Let's
Redskins
go.
jersey. But City is going to be in full effect still. So that's going to be
City
my
and DC, baby. Let's go.
Absolutely.
Joe, what are we on about today?
Today, we will be recapping the Southampton match that went down yesterday. We will be previewing the Tottenham midweek match in the Carabao Cup. And we will then be wrapping the show up with some city and community news and some bro talk. Most of that is going to be centered around our boy Evan with Citizens Fancast and some of the hate that he has accrued from a TikTok that he created after the midweek match. So a lot of drama popped off, and we will be addressing that and sticking up for our little bro for sure. So that's going to be the rounding out of our show. So,
but before you do that, make sure you hit the like, make sure you hit the
call.
subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell, make sure you're fucking following us on social media. All you got to do is type in @SnobbyPod. Boom, we're right there. Follow.
Click the button.
Just do that for us.
And then while you're there, go ahead and share out some of our shit.
Yeah, that'll be even better. That'll be super nice.
Copy the the YouTube channel, drop it into your story, post it on your X, any of that stuff.
Being an American's okay.
Correct. That is correct. So
we'll elaborate on that later. Let's get into Southampton.
On Wednesday's show, we did a quick preview towards the end of our show. And Colby, being the dumb American that he is, mentioned that this might be a little bit of a trap game where we might struggle a little bit. It might not be as easy as we hope it would be against a team that is at near the bottom of the table on 1 point. Lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. But we don't know the sport.
I'm an idiot.
we don't know what we're talking about, all that all that
Imagine
fun
that.
stuff.
Imagine that.
I love that you have your cuppa with you right there to sip at that exact moment. So early, Mr. Holland, doing Erling Holland things. 2 games in a row, incredibly acrobatic, falling down, flying through the air goals where he's kicking the ball either with pretty much laying parallel to the ground in this one and still kicking it in. And then Wednesday, obviously, flying sideways and back to the goal and intentionally like heels the ball into the net. Both of these goals are otherworldly of a human being and
World
intentional,
class goals.
not a tap in merchant at all.
No.
But the fact that he's doing these things and they were absolutely intentional. There's no like ricochet deflection goal situation. He intentionally did all that and had the concentration to do what he did yesterday while
Vision
being
and
pulled,
be able to do that.
while getting pulled down and grabbed by their center back the entire way down. Like that was absolutely incredible. Um, so I can't say enough good things about the form that Erling Haaland is in right now, the goals that he's scoring. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I will counter that with one thing to this match. After that goal, I felt particularly that he fell off. I felt that he wasn't getting in the right positions a lot of times. I felt that the momentum in which, you know, he's a force unto himself.
Mhm.
I felt a couple of instances where he didn't take physics into account, considering his 6'4" stature and his speed on top of that. Too often, when he gets a break, he usually doesn't know how to shift the momentum of his body, especially when he's on the ball. The other thing that I would like to make note of is the fact that he is not doing a particularly good job, in my opinion, in the box, especially during set pieces, of boxing out the defender. He has a hard time getting in front of them. He always likes to stay back. And I understand to a certain point, especially when you're going for a header, um, where that could be useful. However, we all know the rule that climbing up on top of somebody's back is a no-no. Okay. He cannot consistently keep doing this and thinking that he's going to win these duels. He needs to be able to get in front of the defender and box them out to the point where he is the one taking, he's the one taking the pass in. Trying to do it from behind somebody, that's you're not even giving yourself a 50-50 chance if I'm being honest. You're giving yourself more of a 25-75 chance.
Mhm.
75% of that, which is probably not going to happen. Small things he can work on to change the dynamic of his game. Will it be employed? No, because I'm not a Class A certified coach. I am only a grassroots level coach. So,
Facts.
right.
But you bring up a
much
good
other than
point
that,
though with the set pieces because it seems like the way they're. I mean, we have scored recently off of them. It's
we
not been
have.
like it's been poor, but it seems almost like the people we're trying to get like a free run onto the ball are more
Mhm,
like Yoshko, Johnny, Ruben instead of
mhm,
taking advantage of Erling's height and jumping ability because he's usually always in the mix with multiple people
mhm,
and he's not the one making the uh getting like a free run because we're freeing him up. It seems like he's the one trying to occupy as many people as possible to give other people's. But I'm like, why don't we switch that up a little bit? Kind of like you mentioned, like let him be the one standing more towards the top of the box. Let the other guys be in the mix, occupying people. Let him get a free run so he's not constantly, be it by design or by his own choosing,
mhm,
behind other players and around. So I think
mhm.
that's something we might see in the future
I would,
going
and
forward.
just you saying that, I fully believe that if he was more at the top of the box during set pieces, he could be in better position to rebound when necessary.
That too. Yeah.
Because I mean, nobody's going to really try to stand in front of that cannon.
Pass.
Yeah,
Business decision.
Yeah. And then also with set pieces in general lately, one of the things that I've noticed is there's not a lot of back end support in the set piece. It's too often we're crowding the box, especially when we're in this low block situation, which we will continue to be in until we have dismantled it. And people need to get used to that, because that's a lot of the things that we see online, the commentation on it. It's until it's fixed, until we've broken it, expect it. It's going to be
Consistently.
a lot of boring football, guys, but you got to stay till the end. Who knows what can happen, because we have broken down the low block a couple of times, but it's been more towards the late end of the the late end of the game. Getting on early has not really been our strong suit. Will I say in the last couple of games? Yes, we have, but that was us catching them off guard.
Mm-hmm.
We did a good job of that, but I digress. Making sure that there is support on the far end of the box, because too often there is wide open space when somebody overcrosses the ball and
Mm-hmm.
there's nobody there to pick it up. It's not to say that we don't get possession back. We still, in most times,
Typically
do.
win it back. Yeah.
We typically win it back, but let's minimize the damage control by just having somebody there waiting, because that's a goal opportunity unto itself.
Yeah. It's usually once we've won it back, it's after the opposing team has had an opportunity to get up and away from the box a bit and then reset their defense. So,
Yep.
and then it's back to the same old story where we're trying to break down 10, 11 guys in the box again, which is,
Mhm.
like we've mentioned before, very difficult to do. It's not.
Well, and especially in this one, because late in the game, if everybody doesn't remember, that box was so crowded, even on the 6-yard box, that it was just nearly fucking impossible to really do anything. And that's all they have. Remember
Mhm.
that. If the opposing team has to go that far back into the box and consolidate like that, they clearly don't have anybody good enough to defend, which really is a hard statement to say, considering they have one of our academy products.
Yep.
And he did a very good. I think he did a pretty damn good job. I was talking to my son about this, and I kind of feel as if I was a little upset when we got rid of him. To be honest, I kind of felt like he was almost a clear like for Johnny Stones, younger version. He can fit into. He could potentially fit into that pivot role where he would be potentially working beside Rodri if necessary, but we have so many options for that at this point. It really doesn't matter, but it would have been nice to have that on a little bit less money.
Yep.
That's my only gripe to that.
Yeah. I've always rated him pretty highly too. I've always enjoyed when he got opportunities with us, and then he always performed well when he went on loan, which is why we got a significant fee for him. 20 mil for a younger player like that is a
Mm-hmm.
nice coup. It's kind of like what we talked about. Who was it? Carlos Forbes after the Wolves match.
Yes,
Kind of
yes, such a
similar
statement.
situation. Wanted him to stay around and stick around with us, but because again, currently no true backup to Holland. It would have been nice to have additional body there from the academy on a younger salary, younger player's salary, and can grow with the club. So
Yep.
after that early goal, really, pretty much everyone I think probably expected a few more to come, but unfortunately, the remainder of the game remained the same. Um, quite honestly, there wasn't a lot of notes taken. I think I took 6 the entire match.
1, 2, 3,
And
4, 5. Yep, 6.
that's all we really had. Really, the big thing of note for me in the first half, at least, was there were times where we were letting Southampton kind of have it and hoping that they were going to turn the ball over so we can um,
Run the counter hard.
counter and transition quickly, because that's one of the best opportunity and some of the best chances you're going to create in football is after turnovers, when you can win the
Mm-hmm.
ball and then quickly counter like people do against us on occasion. So sometimes it's okay not to have 85% of the possession. Sometimes it's okay to concede a little bit of possession, let them have it, because other teams, while technically skilled, are not as well drilled as we are with passing patterns and keeping possession for extended periods of time. So there will be
Mhm.
opportunities where they're going to have a loose pass, have a bad back pass to the keeper, which we can pounce on and capitalize on. So it was nice and kind of refreshing at times for me to see us almost defend at times, even though in the good thing there was Southampton was possessing, but there
Mhm.
literally was no intention to do anything
No.
with it other than just pass it around and keep it a little bit to kill, I guess, to kill the game off a bit because they weren't really going forward. Ederson had very little to do with his hands the entire match. Um, so it was nice to see them concede a little possession to try and create more turnover opportunities because the players that we have, I think, are fit perfectly for that style where we let them have it a bit, press, win the ball quickly, and then transition with our pace with Savino and Holland.
Mhm.
So I think that was a nice change of pace for me.
Mhm.
But that was really the only tactical piece that I had. There were times where we were again in the second half. It was more possession based, and we
Sure.
were right around the 18 for the most part. But they did try to keep Akanji and Diaz a little farther back and continuing to draw them out to create a little bit more space. But it's just wasn't happening
No.
for us. I felt like one player I thought could have wasn't his usual energetic self, and I'm not going to kill him for it because he's played an insane amount of matches for us so far. Is Rico? He didn't have a whole lot to do defensively, but I felt like he was a little lackadaisical with his off-ball movement. Usually, he's one of our guys who's constantly
Mhm.
making runs in and around, but I just didn't see a lot of him. He didn't see a lot of the ball, considering we had a decent amount of possession, and he wasn't really as involved with the play for the most part yesterday. So I felt like we could have used a little bit more of him, especially because he's not really playing in that right back position. He's
Right.
more a center mid at this point.
Mhm.
That covers on the right side in the when we don't have the ball. So I
Well,
wanted to see a little more from him.
and to that point, this is something that I would like people to take notice of it and be a little bit more aware of the fact that we are so depleted right now in terms of injuries that we're going to see probably this exact lineup until we start getting some players back. I think that in this one, um, the tactic in of itself was not to play as hard because we need to conserve energy and our physical state in
Yep.
order to progress or even have a shot at winning our next coming match, which we'll get into a little bit. There might be some surprise in our take about it, but nonetheless, I don't think Pep was pushing the players to play as hard simply because we need them to be fit in for the next match and probably the one after.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like, so I felt comfortable in the way that they were playing and trying to conserve a bit of energy. It's probably why you didn't see Rico as involved.
Yep.
A lot of the players who were not as involved and kind of were sitting back. It's okay sometimes, guys.
Yep.
Regardless of the score line, we walked away with a clean sheet, which has been elusive to us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Moreover, the fact that, like I said, in order to continue this run and even being able to have the chance to win, we need to need to be conservative right now. Us going into a midweek match, especially a cup competition, uh, one that Pep has made a firm statement on the fact that he is not concerned about this particular competition. It is Mickey Mouse at this point for us. It's not a necessity. You know, it may be a necessity for somebody of the likes of Tottenham, maybe a necessity for the likes of United, maybe, you know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
for us, it's the bigger side of the trophy collection that we're looking for. So, anyways, moving on.
We have bigger fish to fry than
We
the
have way
Paramount
bigger
Cup.
fish to fry. One of the things that I would like to make mention of, uh, I really don't think that in this one there is a real true man of the match just because of what I just said. Everybody's kind of sitting back and being conservative. But the one person that two technically, that I want to give credit to is Matej Kovacic. For one, he had a clinical day.
Mhm.
He helped dispossess and key moments during that match. He held the pivot very, very well. I was happy not to see Ilkay get the start this time. I was happy to see Kovacic run in the back and helping the shift middle movement, and then also playing defensively and playing well defensively.
Yeah,
Not a
breaking
lot
up
of credit was given to him.
breaking up
Not a
attacks
lot of
was great for him. So
yep, yep. There's not a lot of people gave him the credit I felt he deserved.
yep.
Um, and then also Nunez. Yes, there was actually a post I saw on X, and I read it for what it was. Somebody took it out of context. He is not a Premier League level type winger. He's a Premier League level midfielder. I'll give him that. But the fact that he's adapted into this role that Pep has given him and he's been successful at it, I think that's a positive. And that's not to take away from the fact that he's not an out and out winger. He's not. He just isn't. And that's
Mhm.
okay. That's okay to say. Has he performed well at the position since he's been given the role? Absolutely. He's filled in tremendously for Jack, tremendously for Doku. He's also even given us a bit of a different dynamic in doing so. He's not afraid to drive it down to the byline and cross it in or find the through pass. He also has the speed and the physicality to get around defenders. We don't have that with our wingers. There's not a whole lot of physicality with Grealish. There's not a whole lot of physicality with Doku. I mean, obviously Grealish isn't a direct player, but Doku is more of a direct player. Nunez has showed that he can both be direct and control possession on that side of the field. That can't go unnoticed.
Yeah, he and because of his midfield background, he understands when to make like those underlapping runs to the corner, which is what led to his cross into Holland for that first goal. And so he's using his midfielder skills, which are phenomenal. This is why we bought him. He's more than capable. He is a Premier League quality.
What just
uh,
happened?
Is it me again?
No, I'm sorry. I
Good.
should have
Okay.
said nothing.
Well,
It was probably the internet connection, but
all good.
yeah.
So, and to your point, like Doku and Jack don't get knocked off the ball much,
No.
but because of their size profile and Nunez's size profile, he's got a couple inches on both of those guys.
A couple?
So,
A couple?
because he's a solid 5'11", and it's harder for just size wise for folks to get around him, and for him, and he knows how to use his body well. So he's our what him and Rico are co-leading assist players this season. So
Who would have thought that?
yeah, and Nunez just now started playing on a regular basis. So um, so excited to see him finally showing what he has, because this has always
Mhm.
been there. It just took a little bit of time for him to get comfortable and to get the confidence from within himself, and to start getting it from the manager too, uh, to get himself right.
Important
And
words came out of Pep's mouth towards him this week that I felt were
yes,
right on time, but also even a little overdue. Um, he does deserve the minutes. He is a quality player. We wouldn't have picked him up from
mhm,
Wolves of everybody, if we didn't feel so. Um, I saw this when he was with Wolves, and I remember having a specific conversation with Kyle in regards to him, and I said, man, I would really love to see what he could do in our midfield. I really think that with his speed and his physicality, you could see a lot more direct runs. I think he would have a lot of good off ball movement, and being able to draw defenders to create open space. Now, granted, that's not been his case, but he's certainly gone to a whole other level in comparison to that statement as to what he can do for us in general. And it's looking and piling up as if he's much more of a dynamic player than he has been given a chance to be, even with Wolves. We only saw a glimpse of what he can be. Anytime they were even close to being in the win column or in the win column, it was on his foot. And people forget that.
And let's be clear, too. We weren't the only big club after him. Liverpool was 100% in on him. And
Oh, yeah.
So this wasn't us seeing something other people didn't. Everybody saw what he had in his bag of tricks and wanted him. So this isn't something new. You know what I mean? So it's great, and something that I think he offers because of his midfield skills too. Not to say that Jack isn't a two-footed player, but right now Savinho and Doku for sure are pretty heavily dominant on their dominant foot and relying on that. But Nunez is very clearly a two-footed player. He's put in multiple crosses from that left wing with his left foot, so he's very dynamic with which direction he's going to go. You can't just sit on one foot for him or expect him to always cut in on the right. He's going both directions and he's using both feet, and that is a dangerous combination when you're as skilled as he is, and that just creates an even more dynamic attack for us. So I really like what I'm seeing from him, and it's in, like you said, Pep, I think, said he knows how to manage people. That's one of his strongest suits. He's tactically brilliant, but he knows how to manage players and their confidence and their egos and all those things. And him saying the only problem that Nunez has right now is the manager, because he's not giving him the minutes he deserves.
Thank you for quoting it.
So
Thank you.
Spot on. Like he knew exactly what he was doing. He was like, I can see his confidence growing. I'm gonna hype him up right now and lay the blame at my feet for not giving him the time that he has rightfully earned and deserved. But also, we have a lot of guys that deserve minutes, that deserve the minutes. So it's like, I get it, because pretty much everybody works their ass off to get into the starting lineup and to get into the 18 and to get those minutes off the bench. So it's a really nice dilemma to have from the manager when you have so many guys to pick from.
People often forget that we have a bench that most Premier League sides, most any side, would absolutely love to have. We have literally 2 A teams at any point in time. Who we got in the comments? Steve Black. Hey guys, what's up? Sticky win, but a win. That's right.
Hey,
it wasn't what we wanted. But again, it's the fact of the matter that we are so depleted. I mean, we're out 6 players. You know what I mean? We're out 6 like absolutely pertinent parts of our team out, and the fact that we're still able to squeak out the win. Where's the credit? Where it's due.
We got the 3 points. We got the clean sheet. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Our performances are not always going to be great, and that's okay.
No.
But we're still going to support them. We're still going to watch. We're still going to be loud and proud City fans, because we fight till the very end. I never felt like we were in danger of losing that match or even conceding an equalizer. No. But crazy shit happens. It's this City that we're talking about. Crazy shit happens late in our matches. So why would I not continue to watch? Why would I not still support them all the way through the full 90-plus stoppage?
That
we only get so many matches too. Like there's only so many. We play a lot of matches, obviously, but it's like I only get so many opportunities to watch City, and I'm gonna take full advantage, and I'm gonna watch every last second I can of the match, because there's only so many, and then we go into these damn international breaks, and we're going through withdrawal for 2 weeks. It's like I'm watching the match. I'm watching the whole thing. I'll watch a little bit of the commentary afterwards because I can't get enough City news and games. So
So
that's me.
it's so wild to even think like, NFL. We for the longest time we had 16 weeks, then it went to 17 weeks. Now it's at 18 weeks. Um, the fact that we get 38 regular season matches and then we get competitions thrown in the middle, like I feel spoiled, honestly, watching City because I get almost 8 months of pure football, pure sport, pure competition. NFL, I feel, I feel, I feel luckier when I get a chance to watch the Steelers. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Not saying that it trumps City for me because it certainly does not at this point. Um, but yeah, Uh, I think we should be counting our. I'm going to counteract what I just said. I think we should be counting our lucky stars, considering the fact that Americans do get the opportunity to see literally every game. Granted, you're paying for the platforms in which they are put on, but the fact that we have that opportunity at all versus our counterparts across the pond, like it upsets me, right? Because they don't get it, but also the fact that I have that opportunity and I don't have to miss anything if I don't want to, you know.
Even if it's on a
I
replay,
know.
because all of the platforms that we have our games across all competitions give us the option to watch the replay as well. If we can't catch it live or whatever
Yes.
reason,
Yeah.
the replays are always available pretty quickly after the match ends. So there's always an opportunity to catch it, even if you're not watching it live. Steve, bang on. Thank you for that, dropping that
Thank you
comment,
so
man.
much for that. We're actually going to touch on that a little bit later, but please stick around. Uh, we
I think
that compliment just is,
yes, means a
yeah,
lot, man.
means a
Really
lot
means a
right
lot.
now.
So man of the match. I think the two guys that you hit on
Yeah.
are clearly the ones we should be speaking about. I pause.
What just happened?
I have the United game on in the background.
Ooh, ooh.
No score, but Diego Dallo just had a wide open net past the keeper and sailed it over the whole goal. Literally nobody in front of him, no Southampton player near, and he skies it. He great touch past the keeper, but then and again wide open goal and just absolutely shanks it. Phenomenal, phenomenal.
Yes. Yes.
But for me, I think I would go. I probably would go Nunez,
Just
but
because of the form that he's been in.
yeah, continued form, and he got the assist, obviously. But I also
Mhm.
thought he worked really hard on both sides of the ball out wide too. So, but I have no problem with Kova receiving it either if that's who you're choosing because he was absolutely fantastic yesterday. Clearly motivated to get back in since he missed out midweek. So he was clearly trying to show that he deserved starting minutes yesterday.
Um, I'll echo some of that, but I'll start off with this. I believe the Premier League site gave Holland the man of the match.
Hmm.
Understand, I guess, scoring does matter. Winning actually matters too to the person who said that. Um, it's hard for me because, like I said, I'm going to echo the fact that it really could be Nunez because of the form he's been in. He has contributed to this team in a way that a lot of people doubted that he even could. So I think that speaks volumes. However, as I said earlier in the discussion, I felt that Mateo Kovacic was an honorable mention because of the way that he was able to dispossess in pertinent and key moments where Southampton did try to go on the counterattack. Not only that, but his leadership on the field, especially in that pivot role, I just can't think that is unnoticeable. So for me, I'm going to go Kovacic on this one. He again showed veteran presence. He took some of this on his shoulders, and he almost, in my opinion, made it personal, and I appreciate that. So for him, but I will give the second star to Nunez because of the way he played. Holland, him getting the goal, yes, great. It's an expectation at this point. So him getting one in isn't like I'm not gonna put him up on a pedestal. If he'd have came out and scored the hat, which he could have, because there were several opportunities. One where he was even wide, or, excuse me, not wide. He was on a break and just nope, no Holland goal. Like so, until he starts burying some of these easier ones, I don't think he really deserves it. It's an expectation at this point to come in and do your job as a striker.
Facts. I'm here for it.
Well, that kind of really concludes most of the match because, again, it wasn't the most exciting, but we don't ever quit in watching.
Nope.
So,
and we got the win, baby.
And we got the win. We got the 3 points.
Baby.
We are top of the table as it currently stands. We'll be waiting for the Liverpool Arsenal result
in a couple hours. Yeah, 12:30 kickoff our time.
Yeah. So let's. We're about to our normal place at halftime. Oh dear, shame we got. Yeah. For me, Kova stepped up. Guvardio, solid. Nunez. Sorry, my mic's in the way.
I was trying to read it.
Yeah. Whoops. No, and you know what? That's cool. It's cool. It's great that you have your own opinion on that. It's not to say that Savino. I call him Savio because that's literally what his name said before he came over to this side. He has shown how incredibly important and valuable he is to the tactics of the club and how we build and progress, especially on the attack. He's certainly one of the rare occasions where he has come in and been an immediate contributor. It has typically taken 1 to even 2 seasons for most of our signings to get acclimated to Pep's side. So I can take that. I don't know that he will keep Nunez. I don't know that he will keep Doku and Grealish out. I think he's done, as I said earlier, he's done a very good job of filling in the position. But for me, at least, I think that he is better served as an attacking mid. I think that when we are, hopefully we're not, without the services of Phil or even Bernie, he fits in real well there, especially because I feel like he's just a taller Bernardo Silva in some senses. Mm-hmm. His ability to have the off-ball movement, his ability to drive into open spaces, and more specifically because of his physicality, him being able to drive into those spaces, especially if it's a small space, at least he can shrug one off. It's a matter of him keeping the ball at his feet. But no, that's a good take. I'll take that. I'll absolutely take that. We'll make him honorable mention.
Absolutely.
For sure. Let's go ahead and run the little promo. We'll come back. We'll talk about some city and community news, as well as previewing Tottenham. And then we'll finish it off with a little bro talk. We're not going to be doing any Who's That Baller this weekend. Honestly, with my schedule over the weekend, didn't really have the time. More of the fact, really don't like playing games when people are buttholes, which we'll be discussing here just in a few minutes.
Momentarily.
Yes. So we'll be right back.
All Manchester City fans are glory hunting plastics. Every single one of them claims to have supported them since the 70s, even though they were only born in the 90s. But I'm willing to give Manchester City Plastics an opportunity to prove me wrong.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the break. Thank you all for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. Steve, thanks for getting in the comments with us. We appreciate that even more. All of you guys sitting back, not in the comments, do better, please. We love your interaction. We love getting to know people via the podcast, so it'd be really cool to, maybe put some names in and then eventually get to put some faces to those names would be even nicer. So let's get into the city and community news. There's not a lot of city news, to be honest. So we're not really going to be focusing on that. We're going to be focusing on the happenings that we had on X. There was a particular individual who decided that he thought he could laud out the fact that he left mid-match during the Champions League matchup against who do we play?
Sparta,
right. We have, and I have specifically pointed to that specific scarf as and for a purpose. Leaving mid-match to any one of us, especially as Americans, is absolutely unheard of. It's not to condemn anybody for wanting to leave. It's your prerogative. We get that. But do not think that doesn't make anybody question it. Question your fan loyalty. I don't care how long you've had a ticket. I don't care how long you've been with the club. It makes absolutely no difference. Okay? The fact of the matter is there's a lot of people that come into this. Yes, they don't have all the knowledge before speaking. That's an opportunity to teach. We here as Americans, if it was the shoe on the other foot, if you were to come over here and or want to take interest in an NFL team or an NHL team or an NBA team or an MLB team, we would welcome you with open arms. We would help catch you up to where we're at. And then we would also even go as far as talking to you about the history of our teams. That seems to be a null and void thought in most people's heads over there. I understand the protection of the club. I understand wanting to safeguard it from people whom have nefarious intentions. We are not those guys, and we never will be. As Americans, we do our best to try and understand the culture, understand the club, understand the tactics, get to know the players, get to know the community, and be incorporated into that. And I don't know where the disconnect is. I really don't. And I can only fall on the basis of prejudice towards Americans. And I think that it is short-sighted. I think that it is ignorant. I think that it is nothing more than dictator behavior shit, really. It's absolutely appalling to the fact that this week, one of our colleagues and good friends, Evan Dupre from Citizen Fancast, was, he posted a video in a I felt a non-abrasive way, condemning the action. Okay,
of one person in his group that he said left with him. Let's be very clear that Evan when he made that video, was speaking about a single instance and was not criticizing all of the English fans, all of the season ticket holders, all of those folks that were there that stayed the whole time. That wasn't what was going on. He was referencing a single individual who was being an asshole.
Yeah.
Not anything else.
And the dude doubled, tripled, and even quadrupled down on his stance, and then had other people trying to fucking talk to us about it and say, "Oh, I talked to him, and he's sound." Blah blah blah. Well, I'm gonna say it to the person in direct. LB, fence sitting doesn't really help your cause at all. Seeing one perspective and the other, that's fine, but like sitting there and try to mediate something that you were not asked to be a part of. Speak when spoken to, I guess, should be a common practice. If you're not being spoken to, then you don't have any fucking dog in the fight. We were talking about one in particular, the individual whom, yes, he defended his position, but he went as far as making derogatory comments directly to our friend and our fellow American and our fellow colleague and fellow City fan, purely based upon where we were born. Let's make this very fucking clear. No one, not a single person in this world, has any control on where they were born. For me personally, my heritage is English. I am 60% English. The rest of it is Italian and like other, muddish German, whatever, European mutt shit, right? I take pride in the fact that my family came from York and came over here to escape the bullshit that was going on in that time period. Okay. Again, that's not in my control. If I had it my way, I would have loved to have been born over there. I would have loved to be able to experience the culture firsthand. I have to do it from afar. It's not my fault. It really isn't. It's not Joe's fault. It's not Evan's fault. It's not Alex's fault. It's not Will's fault. It's not Joey's fault. Maul is the only one that made the choice to come over here. And I think his parents made that choice for him. So really, it wasn't even his.
Nope.
Same thing goes with the Shades of Blues guys. They didn't ask to be here. They were forced to be here. So to directly be negative and derogatory towards Americans, it's not going to be tolerated anymore. The gatekeeping, done. The entitlement to the club, guess what, guys? It's a global brand now. This isn't the 80s. This isn't the 90s. The club has expanded, and it's okay. Because there are people like us that do not have a nefarious intention. We want to help build this club, especially here in the States. But in the process, making the connections to our Manc counterparts, and even the ones who don't live in Manchester that support, even if they're the London supporters that come up. That's not to say all of them are great. They're not. But particularly our podcast brethren that are in this, that are not located in Manchester anymore due to work, probably. More often that's the case when I speak to people of why they live in London now. Work's better there. I get it. That's like me. I live an hour and a half northwest of DC. There's not shit here. Literally not shit. If I want a good job, a good paying job, one that it's going to make me closer to $100,000 a year, I got to go down to DC. And for a lot of people, that's just not even feasible. I can't park a truck in DC. Can you park a truck in DC? No.
I have a hard time with my SUV just finding.
Exactly. And it's a mid-size SUV at that.
Yeah, it's not a big one.
Yeah.
So
let's take a look at the... Go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
No, it's just the fact that Evan felt like he needed to create a 12-minute video recording because he was so
audio recording,
emotionally drained from the amount of abuse that he got. That clip that he posted on X from his TikTok account really went viral. It blew up. And just reading through the comments, I had to stop, even though I wanted to go in on most of the people who were giving him shit, because he is 100% like our little brother, because he's a tad younger than us, obviously.
Yep.
So the big brother in me and in you was absolutely coming out, because especially after hearing his emotional justifiably emotional sharing
Very
of how he's
justifiable.
feeling about everything, and just seeing the absolute like hypocrisy from people
Oh my
on
God.
there was just absolutely enraging for me, because
It's gaslighting, son. It's gaslighting what they do on the
you
internet.
were criticizing him for being an American fan and not knowing anything about the club without doing any research on him, while essentially hyping up the dude that's leaving and creating more narrative about the city fans not being true fans. So we're protecting the ass clown that is making us look like shitty fans, while
Because he has
putting
a season
down,
ticket.
because he's a season ticket holder. I don't give a shit about that, bud. And then
Literally.
we're putting down a real fan who spent his entire fucking summer traveling around America and
Mhm.
putting an insane amount of mileage on his car, and
And hours that takes to get from destination to
he,
destination.
that dude is a city fan through and through, a true blue. And for anybody to question his loyalty to the club and throw shade at him, that
Ignorant.
will absolutely not go unnoticed by those who support him in our part of his community. I'm still
Baffled.
I'm getting worked up now, and I'm getting angry
Yep.
because
Yep.
of remembering the stupid shit that was thrown his way on that post, because he's, like we mentioned and posted, one of the most genuinely nice human beings that you can find. He is not
We are far meaner than he is.
100%. So it's like it's old school bullying tactics where we pick on somebody who they don't think is going to really defend themselves and is not going to talk shit back and is going to just, you know, and the fact that it got him to the point where he's not sure how much he's going to post anymore. He's not sure how many more videos he's going to
He
do
questioned whether or not he wanted to be a fan of the fucking club anymore.
because of y'all's behavior. And all of us in the community that are supporting him, the bigger ones, the bigger pods, all those folks, y'all need to do exactly what we're doing at this point and squash that kind of behavior out, because y'all's voices are bigger than ours. You guys are from there. You know the people that are behaving this way. You need
And
to
you know
start.
us.
Yes, please stick up for your fellow, because we've been in Colby's been having conversations with folks on X's DMs with some of our guys, and the support is there from you
Yes.
guys, which we greatly appreciate.
Yes.
But
Shout out to
and
City Luke TV. Shout out to Luke from Nimble. Shout out to Blue Tone. I'm not sure Martin read the message, but Mancunian away, like, we all have their support. They fully support our project and the fact that we are devoted Blues. It doesn't matter our timetable of how long we've been here. Like, you got to get with it or get fucking lost, because times are changing. And there are going to be more and more of us coming into this realm. And you should be fortunate and lucky enough that it's us who actually took the time to research. That's a big thing. Big thing. People don't understand how to do research. I don't need to be a part of a club for 30 years to understand its history. I can read that in a couple of days. Y'all need to get off your high horses. It is. It's old school bully tactics, and furthermore, since mental health is such a big part of today's
that part,
culture and society, you're gaslighting people, and that's poor behavior, and it's condemnable unto itself. As Americans and people who are going to rightfully stick up for this club, we're going to call it as we see it. And if you can't take it, you can't take the heat, maybe you shouldn't be on the fucking internet. We take heat every single day just for being American. Every single day. Y'all, the racist and prejudice narrative and rhetoric you guys have over there, like, it's got to die sometime. You guys are just as eclectic in nationalities as we are here. And the fact that you can't stand somebody who's different than you shows what a low individual you actually are.
And that shit goes on here too. We are obviously, and guess what happens when either of us see that bullshit? We speak on it. We step up for the folks that are being criticized.
Coming from somebody who's been around for a minute.
Yeah.
If for everybody that's listening on audio only, there is a comment down below from Steve Black. City fans were never like this, so who is a fake fan? Yeah, I mean, anybody can literally put anything on the internet they want. This guy literally went out of his way to say he's been following. His first game was in '87. He's been following for all this time. Like, dude, then show it, prove it, because I can put that on the screen too, and there's going to be people out there that might believe me, but I can honestly see through your thin veiled bullshit. Real fans don't treat people like that. Real fans are inclusive. They want you to be a part of it. They want you to understand. They want you to learn. If any one of y'all wanted to be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, man, I hope you get in my DMs because I got so much shit to talk to you about. I want to teach you. I want to help you understand the culture beyond the team. Because honestly, that's what makes a team. If anybody knows Pittsburgh sports, and I'm sorry, I'm touting my birthplace, but like, if anybody knows Pittsburgh sports and how deeply ingrained it is into our culture, you would see a almost identical resemblance of yourselves as Mancunians. Hardworking people who believe in their teams. It makes your week if they win or lose. Also, the comment of we don't know what it's like to have a midweek game or match or whatever, that was fucking stupid. MLB plays in the middle of the week. NHL plays in the middle of the week. NBA plays in the middle of the week. The only one that doesn't is the NFL. They play on Monday nights at the latest and Thursdays. So you're wrong. You don't know anything about America because you're too stupid and you're too fucking prejudiced and short-sighted in life. The narrative's got to stop, man. The narrative's got to stop. And I'm not going to say this to be an utter asshole, but I kind of am at the same time. A lot of the prejudice that comes to American is just so stupid. Because let's remember the fact that most people broke away from you guys because they were tired of King George's shit. That was number one. Number two, both world wars. You would be an island of fucking craters if it wasn't for us. You're lucky to be alive today. You're lucky you had grandparents that had children that had you. If it wasn't for us, you'd be just that, a cloud of nothing. We don't talk about British people like that over here. You're the last thing in our mouths. And it's not because we don't care about you. It's because what goes on in Britain is British shit. It's not our place to say anything. Much like it shouldn't be your place to talk about American shit. You're talking about American politics on your fucking page? Go do one, dude, because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You want some knowledge? Come talk to a 30-something parent who's been around and seen the bullshit that has been going on. You want a real perspective? Talk to us. Don't shout out shit you don't know. Simple as that.
I had a thought that I wanted to say, and then it just...
Sorry.
No, you're okay. It was about something you were just talking about.
Which part?
Massive brain fart just now. It completely left my mind.
Did it have anything to do with us saving their asses at one point?
Research. Comes down to the research.
Research.
That piece right there, you know? So,
it's really not hard to do. We literally have the world at our fingertips, guys. You want to know something? Do some research to the point where you're seeing two sides of the story rather than just following one narrative. Because I'm going to promise you that most of what you hear on the news over there is driven by is just mainstream media narrative bullshit. If you follow the mainstream media and what they say, I can promise you, you're 100% wrong, and you're behind. You're behind being a sheep, in my opinion. We don't want sheeps in this world. The world needs more wolves.
I remembered what I was going to say. Specifically to football, when on this side of the pond,
it doesn't, Steve. You're absolutely right.
Yep. If Americans hear someone with an English accent speaking about the game, they automatically assume that they have credibility and know what they're talking about.
Right.
Just because of the accent, because they trust that you clearly know more than they do.
Yeah.
And that's how it's perceived over here. Because if you got an English accent, you know what you're talking about with football. And we clearly know at this point, now that especially us, that have been ingrained in the community and been heads down deep in the sport, like we have been the last few years, that's just not the case. It's just like in America. Just because you're taught an American is speaking about American football or baseball or MLB or NHL doesn't mean they know what the fuck they're talking about.
Nope.
So
Nope.
you gotta do the research and know who you're listening to, who's speaking, and understand that piece that they don't necessarily know what they're talking about. So
yep.
Just for me, Evan, if you're listening to this at some point, we
got yours.
Got your back 100%. I hope you continue to put out episodes because I love listening to your perspective. Whatever you decide to do, you got two brothers over here on the East Coast that got your back and will not tolerate people throwing slander your way. We got you, man.
Yep.
We got you.
Slandering people, that's actually considered assault in America and is punishable. You could go to jail for speaking like that on somebody. Yes, freedom of speech is a thing, but when you're talking completely out of pocket and sideways out your ass without any actual evidence, slander is actually a jailable and finable offense. Check yourselves
let's calm that down. Exactly.
Yeah, check your fucking selves. Let's get into a little bit of what we say?
You do love to put Brits as villains in films.
I mean,
it's that accent, bro. It just lends itself to being like a good villain, especially if it's like allegedly high class individual. Somebody with an accent sounds a little bit more like fancy.
James Bond movies right off bat. That was the first thing I thought of. I was like 007. That would probably be the most classic example of that. Let's move into this part too, because we had a comment from one of our regular followers that kind of threw our, it made our heads tilt a little bit. Word policing people. I'm an adult. I'm not stupid. The particular word that Joe used last week in speaking was, I'm assuming it was Sparta. Last episode, I should say. He used end line instead of byline.
I coach my daughter's team. I'm on the coaching staff. We utilize, and other coaches on this side of the pond use end line on a regular basis. So I hear her head coach say it all the time. We use it like that. I hear the other coaches that are on the sideline say it. So end line is byline, exact same thing. What we're not going to do is, this is coming to somebody who regularly supports us, so it's all love. I'm going to use the lingo and the terminology that I hear, and that's just how it's going to go. I'm not over there. I don't live around a bunch of British guys who use byline. I live around a bunch of American coaches and spend a lot of time of my free time talking to them, being on the pitch during trainings, during games. And that's the terminology that we utilize over here. And so that's not actually going to be part of my lingo. Byline not always is, because I'm not surrounded around.
And it doesn't roll off the tongue quite the same way coming off of us. The cadence of it, even in and of itself, sometimes doesn't sound right.
And again, it's just different. It's different terminology. It's different, wordings for the same thing. And if whoever wants to use byline, perfect. Go for it. If I'm going to use end line on a rant because I'm riled up and ramped up, that's what's naturally going to come out of my mouth, because that's what we hear, and I was fired up at the time. So,
I will say this. I do my part, especially with my kids' club and with the parents. of trying to teach them proper terminology and stop Americanizing it, basically, and crossing over sports name usage. One of the most common offenses that I hear on the sideline is when they're talking about the keeper. They say goalie, and I have to be like, that's hockey. Goalie is. I understand the difference between a keeper and saying goalie, right? Because in my mind, as somebody who grew up around hockey and not around football, that's where my mind goes. I think pads, mask, stick, glove, right? When I see a keeper, I think of two gloves. Doing that.
Absolutely.
Right? You know, there are people here that are trying to teach the game properly, that are trying to instill proper verbiage, because it does matter. It absolutely does matter. And I understand it to an nth degree. But as Joe said, there are multiple terms for things, and it's okay to use both. If it flows off your tongue a little bit better that way in that moment, it is what it be. That's what I'm going to say. We're not going to tolerate word policing. Appreciate you bringing it to our attention. But the need to criticize somebody on the internet behind a screen, it looks kind of bad. I'm not going to lie, because if it, it could be you here, but you're not. You're not doing what we're doing. We're taking a chance and putting ourselves out there to complete fucking strangers. We don't know any single one of you personally, not one. We like to build our relationships here, especially through the comments, through our social medias. Hell, you could even DM us and have a conversation. Holy fucking shit.
And this was typed, so I'm gonna assume and give benefit of the doubt that it was meant to come off in a teasing, joking kind of way.
It may have,
and that's totally fine. I'm all about joking, teasing, razzing each other, especially because it's somebody who's in our comments weekly. Pretty much every episode, he's dropping comments for us. So
yep, and we appreciate that so much.
Context absolutely matters, and this is could be a time where reading something is not capturing the tone of voice that was intended. So that's totally fine. Again, I totally get it, and I like the razzing as much as anybody else does. Bring it on. We're here for that kind of behavior because it's fun. As long as it's coming from a good place. And with this individual, I'm 100% sure it's coming from a good place and not like a asshole type way that other folks on the social medias have come at us in the past. So,
yeah. And in all honesty, because of the amount of abuse that we receive, when we get messages like that, it's hard for us not to automatically think or be defensive and automatically think that you're coming from a slightly malicious place. As if, you're better than us. If you were, again, I'll say it, you'd be here doing this, but you're not. So, take that as you will. Podcasting and doing this type of journalism, if you will, is not easy, especially from people on the outside. Again, I'll echo the fact that if we had the opportunity to change our grandparents' minds, our great grandparents' minds, we may have stuck around. But that's not the case. We're doing our best. We're doing something you aren't. So pathetic from others. No offense, man, guys. It is. It is just pathetic. And you're good, dude. You're good. You're solid. Thanks for being in here. Also, I want to shout out a newcomer in here, Yummy Sport, real quick. I'm not sure what they were saying nice to in particular, but they did give us a follow on Rumble, so thank you for that. We do like to see our Rumble page grows. We like to see our Rumble page grow. We understand that, especially here in America, most people view that as a conservative site, and where in part it is. It also gives the creator more freedom to say and do than a platform like YouTube. So that's why we're on there. Because, if we decide that we want to show a part of a match, if we want to take a clip, which we actually missed doing from when we were talking about Evan, but if we want to take a clip from another podcaster and elaborate on it, we can use their video without getting copyrighted. So, and especially when we're using city shit that we fucking pay for. It's so dumb. It's dumb.
Rules.
So out of city and community news, let's move into a bit of Tottenham preview. It's gonna be short and sweet, to be honest. As
You
we
referenced
said
it earlier.
yeah, as we said before, we really don't. Pep has said that he doesn't care about this competition. He doesn't. It's at this point for us, it is a Mickey Mouse Cup. Is it nice to add hardware to the trophy case? Absolutely. Is it partners for us to have? No. Teams like Tottenham, teams like United, those are the people that should be gearing up towards the Carabao Cup. Like, most people don't really care about this competition, especially when they're up in the top 6. It's not a big deal. So we're kind of banking on the fact that, as Pep has said, he's not really in the headspace of this particular competition. So we're going to trust Pep's word on this. I expect a heavily rotated squad. We're going to probably see a lot of our EDS people come up, which would be nice. So finally get some first team reps, see what it's like playing against a top flight club, if you will. I don't even know if I want to call them that. That's
Well, they're in the top flight.
Sorry, Cam, if you're in here.
Division. Top flight division team.
They are in the top flight division, but it's, as you all know, it's been difficult to go to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They like to rile us up a bit, and rightfully so. But
yeah, we got a stretch of 4 straight away games leading into the next international break. So we're at Tottenham Wednesday the 30th. Saturday we're at Bournemouth. Then Tuesday turnaround for the Champions League at Sporting. So we're going across to Portugal. Then we're back in England on Saturday the 9th, but we're at Brighton. So lots of travel, not a lot of time for rest and recovery for the lads. So this one in particular, I would imagine similar to what happened last time we played in the Carabao Cup, where it was heavily rotated with the EDS guys. We cannot go as far as we possibly want in the Champions League, in the Premier League, in the FA Cup, and still have heavy fixture congestion because of the Carabao Cup. We don't need to win all 4. Okay, we have proven everything we need to prove as a club. We've won everything. We've done things other clubs could only dream of. We've set as many records as you possibly can. That's not one we need to chase down. What we need, especially with having 6 guys currently on the injury list and not fit, to rotate, play guys, and lessen the amount of games that we're playing. So just it's a competition at this point that's not really a necessity for us, and treating it as such. Especially because we don't have a lot of first teamers right now. We had 7 on the bench yesterday against Southampton, 2 of which were keepers. So none of these matches after Spurs, because Spurs go either way. And then like Steve, yes, Bournemouth away, not going to be an easy match. Going to Sporting, not going to be an easy match. Brighton going there too, that's a rough stretch. Okay, so we need to get rest where we can. We need to give our big players opportunities to take a break when we can, especially with so much travel that's happening over the next week and a half before international break. So,
and quite honestly, guys, excuse me, quite honestly, this stretch up into the holiday break is quite a run. I mean, yes, we're going to have 2 weeks off for international break, but again, we're sending people out, not keeping any kind of continuity as far as the team being together. and having different tactics and stuff employed on top of them. And especially with our England players, you're walking into a Tommy Tuchel system after a borrowed Carlsley from Pep system that honestly, it was hit or miss. It could have been employed better. I think Phil could have been worked and used a lot better. I think Bellingham, he's a little too selfish, but
100%.
that's beside the point. It's the fact that these players are now in another system, having to do things another coach's way. I really don't believe that this should be happening like it is. Unfortunately, that Euro competition is there, and it's probably going to stay. UEFA is not going to let it go. It's a money driver. So, it's going to be very, very tough up until winter break. We need to give our players and our team the credit that it's due for the job that they're trying to do in between now and then, because it's just not going to be easy, especially with 6 key name players out, and we don't know we don't know a firm timetable on when at least 60% of 70% of them are even coming back. We've seen that Kev has been dabbling in practice. We have seen we more so know what Doku and Jack's timetable is looking like. I think Doku's even still a little bit unsure of when that's going to happen. We did get Ake back, which is really nice. Who else are we missing? We haven't seen much of Walker since he's been on international break. We don't really have much of a timetable on him either.
Yeah, Pep didn't really give him.
And I'm okay with that for right now. I think I'm okay with that for right now.
Rest up. It's just
let him ride the pine pony for a little bit. I'm good with that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's Tottenham. Any final thoughts? Any comments? Throw them at us. Excuse me. We're going to go ahead and get into some weekly bro talk. For this one, hey Steve, thanks for showing up, man. I appreciate it.
Have a good rest of your day, brother. Enjoy your Sunday.
Have a good rest of the day. And again, we thank you and appreciate you spending your time with us. It means a lot. So yeah, bro talk. Comments. There's literally 20 of you. You can respond. You can get into the comments. If you just hit the live chat down on the bottom, it will populate for us, and we can talk shit, talk bollocks.
We got Joe for about 13 minutes, and then he's got to roll. So whatever y'all want to talk about. I'll kick some off just to do some dad bragging, some personal dad brag moments going on, because for both the kiddos, we didn't talk about the kiddos on Wednesday from the previous weekend, but Jordan's team last weekend went to Liverpool's academy, played their nearest geographical rival, with lots of crossover from one of our former players went there. She played with all these girls in the summertime, came out with a 1-0 dub, beat up on Liverpool. And it looked really good too. Chada had a new formation, went to a 3-5-2, and the girls really understood the assignment. So super excited and proud of that. And then yesterday woke up to Elliot featuring very heavily on the Liverpool Academy's social media pages.
Okay, that's cool.
So they were, putting their good luck to all of our teams playing this weekend kind of thing. And her picture was there was 3 kids on there. Hers was the biggest, and put her up there. And then today they put it up on their story again, with her picture being the first one that you see and the only one you see on their story on Facebook. So it really seems like they recognize the skill and are doing everything they can to hype her up.
You're telling me that did she move up from being center half up to forward?
She hasn't had a game since the last time since I spoke to Coach, and Coach sent me a message letting me know that Elliot has been just a rock as the center back, and she forgets sometimes that she might want to come out from that position from time to time. So she said she's going to work towards getting her some more opportunities going forward,
Good.
which I think only helps. It helps her, obviously, because that's the concern was you don't want at 9, 10 years old to get pigeonholed into one position, even though you're great at it and
Mhm.
pretty much dominating games at that position. But you also want to make sure the development of the child is still at the forefront. And when your center half is your leading goal scorer, maybe good idea to put him a little further up the pitch so he might score a few more, get a lead, and then let her cook, as they say in the younger generation,
Yep.
and shut down the opposition once we have that lead. So had a really it was a good conversation, good back and forth via email with the coach. So she'll hopefully in the next, because she plays for the 14s and the 15s, and she was pretty much playing defense exclusively for both.
Mhm.
But I think she's going to try to give her some. And the coach, for those who don't know, coaches uh, both of those teams. So looks like she's going to get some more opportunities going forward to rotate a little bit more because everybody else was
Yeah.
getting it. So you want to not lose that confidence as a goal scorer because she's played in that position before and done very well.
I'm starting to see a common theme here amongst both, my kids' club, your kids' clubs, of coaches who are coaching multiple teams. I want to ask you this question. Do you think that that is a smart and advisable thing to do, or do you believe that the coach should be more focused on one specific team in order to um, build and garner the talents of these individuals?
It's very serendipitous that you
Hmm.
asked that question because Steph and I were just talking about that this week, especially after Jordan's game,
Hmm.
because the team, like our head coach for our team, we're his only team. So he puts all of his time, effort, energy into coaching us. He goes out of his way to scout further our opponents down the road. He watched Liverpool play. Obviously, I know a lot about their club from
Hmm.
playing with them and everything. So we got a really good scouting report between him watching them and then me knowing about them. The girls coach there also same boat, coaches 2 or 3 teams. And
Hmm.
Steph and I were talking about like I love the fact that our Jordan's head coach is only solely focused and devotes his time and energy into our club and our team. Because the other team, the Liverpool team that we played, there's no shot that they had enough time to go scout our team, go watch other clubs ahead of time. And that makes a big difference when you get an opportunity to watch at this age how teams play, how they play their goal kicks, how if they try to build from the back, what they
Hmm.
do on set pieces, that kind of stuff. That can give you a huge advantage. So I'm firmly in the camp of, and Steph was in agreement of, really love when a coach is only solely focused on the one club because they give all their time, all their energy, and outside time to that one team. When you're coaching multiple teams, your weekends are packed full, and you got to do travel different locations to cover all the games, and which is great because obviously that coach knows what they're doing. But
Hmm.
I think you miss a little bit of the other piece when you're having to give your attention to 2 or 3 other teams at the same time. So we
I
had the
agree.
same conversation with Steph like this week. So mind melding from an hour and a half away.
Right? That's wild. That's wild. Yeah, because I noticed that with my son's coach. He coaches both the 2016 boys and the 2015 girls.
Hmm.
And we were lucky this weekend that they had back to back games one after the other. So he could literally just transition around and start coaching the girls from the boys. But I see how it stretches him out a little
Hmm.
bit. Because not only does he have 2 teams, sometimes even 3, and he's the player development guy, and he has a daughter whom plays on said 2015 team. So you're having to be so many different people at once, and that's not to say he's not a good coach, because he is. I very much trust what he's doing with these boys and these girls, especially for an academy that is as small as they are and how well they do things. I can't take that away from him, so it's kind of a double-edged sword for me. But on the whole, for most coaches, I think Aiden's coach is a special breed. He really does love the game and understand the game to a degree that even some people across the pond don't get. But I do see where it can stretch him out a little bit. And I don't think that he needs the help immediately, but I would love to be able to help him with the development of these boys and these girls. Because one of the things that I see, especially at that age group, is you'll see the particular players who are in their heads and how they're playing. They tend to work at like half speed, if you will, because they're so deep in their minds about, how big these other players may be, or, am I in the right place? Am I getting in the right space? A lot of learning the game, especially at a young age, I feel is watching the superstars and seeing how they move,
So
and understanding where you need to be positionally. But I understand also at that age that the attention span is that big. I remember growing up watching American football, and if we started out really good, I might watch the whole game, but like halftime comes around, I'm like trying to go outside and do something fun. You know what I mean? So I get it to a certain extent, but back to the coaching part. I do feel that it will help the advancement, especially if you're going to be their coach growing, that you're there learning from the very beginning and putting your time and effort solely into them, and not spreading it across multiple teams, multiple people, because there is a certain point where a player may feel a little bit of disconnect because they don't have that closeness with their coach. So for me, Aiden's had hell of a couple of games. He scored the game winner last weekend. I believe we talked a little bit about that. They came back from a 2-0 deficit late in the game to run it back 3, him scoring the game winner. This past weekend, they actually played a bit more of a local club to their club, the Soccer Academy of Columbia. I'm going to speak on this just real quickly. I know you got to go in about 2.5 minutes. I talked to Joe about this in the beginning. This is behavior that we don't often see with players in general. But this one particular kid at the end of the game, they were a bit of a bigger team. A few of the players they looked like they could have been playing down. At the end of the game, there was a incident between this particular individual on one of our teams where he basically crashed into him and then had the audacity to basically make it seem as if our player did it to him when he did it to the other player.
He was playing victim.
Playing utter victim, right? Sitting there on his knees, bawling, starts. So obviously, if anybody doesn't know, when an injury happens on the field, all the kids' knee, coach comes out, ref comes out, they assess the situation. It's not advisable that parents run out on the field. Well, parents ran out on the field in this one. So it made it all worse. This kid had the fucking audacity to scream at his mother in front of everybody, and then even more audacity to scream at his fucking coach. If that was me, I'd have grabbed him up by his shirt, I'd have kicked him in his fucking ass, told him to go get his shit and get in the fucking car. You're an embarrassment. That would have been it. No, these parents did absolutely nothing, to the point where the ref, at this point, we're in extra time, which I don't understand how that happens at this age.
Not supposed to happen.
It's not supposed to. We're in extra time, and all the parents are like, get this motherfucker off the field. He had to call the game. The entitlement of some people is ridiculous. And I don't know if, there's any DMV area people, but these kids around here are some of the most disrespectful son of a bitches I've ever seen in my life. My kid would never. And if he did, he's getting exactly what I just said. Dragged up by his shirt, told him to get his shit and get in the fucking car. And guess what? On me, you're not playing for 3 games. You're going to sit on the bench dressed and you will not play. You will cheer your team on. Period.
Unfortunately, this is not an isolated incident as far as behavior goes. That when you were telling me the story, the fact that that kid was as comfortable as he was speaking in front of a large group of people to his mother and to his coach in that way speaks volumes about what he's allowed to get away with at home and on a regular basis. I feel for that kid's school teacher because I'm sure he talked to them the exact same way, and they got to spend the entire day, 40 hours a week with that kid. So
yeah,
that's parents, especially in this area. You're not doing your kid any favors by catering to them. By
soft parenting does not work.
Well, yep, you can. They do not run the household. You do. You make the money. You set the rules, boundaries, expectations. So when your kid behaves like that, especially as a 7, 8, 9-year-old, that's on you. Do better as a parent.
Mm-hmm. I can't imagine how embarrassed she felt. And if she didn't feel any shame, she might
that's
just be
a problem right there.
That's a problem in itself. She might just be a non-player character, NPC.
Right.
All right, buddy. Thank you, everybody that's been in here this morning for us, this afternoon for you guys that are across the pond. We greatly appreciate you being here. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. It doesn't go unnoticed. We thank you for being here. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit the subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure you're following us on social media at SnobbyPod. Also, please be sure, this one right here, that little, did you like that?
Yeah,
I did.
Dance for me, puppets.
Hit that QR code. If you're not watching on your phone and you're watching on a big screen, hit that QR code. Take a look at all of our merchandise in there. Yeah, that's all I got for you until Wednesday when we go to review the Tottenham.
And a special Halloween episode.
Oh, yes, that's right. And a special Halloween episode. If anybody can guess what we'll be dressed as, maybe we'll do something nice for you. Try to get on our social medias and take a guess. We will have a special set for our Halloween episode.
We will be in costume as well.
We will, yeah, exactly. See what we're dressed up as. It'll be mighty fun, I promise you. Yep, till Wednesday. Salute. Deuces.
Appreciate it, everybody.
You have fun, motherfucker.
Thank you.
You have all
plan on it. I plan on it.
Good. We'll leave you with a chant like we always do.
Deuces.